Hey, good evening, everyone. My name's Jenelle Riley. I am so happy to welcome you to this conversation with actor, writer, director, producer, author Michael Showalter. Since his breakthrough days with the revolutionary comedy troupe, The State. This is an artist who has continued to do bold, original work. He is, of course, the writer-director of such films as Hello, My Name is Doris, and co-creator of Search Party, and Netflix's Wet Hot American Summers series. That's plural series. He is currently earning raves as the director of the hit comedy The Big Sick, which just this week was nominated for 2 SAG Awards, including Best Ensemble. Thank you guys so much. Yes. Please join me in welcoming Michael Showalter. Yes, of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on a great year in every medium, pretty much.
Thank you.
Is there anything you haven't conquered? Maybe radio? Well, you have podcasts, but radio.
I don't know.
Better get to work.
Gotta get it to work, yes.
This is an audience of SAG actors, so I always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card?
Good question. I feel like I had an acting job in a movie. This would have been in the mid-90s. Can't remember the name of the movie, but I remember that I was Taft-Hartley'd.
Really?
Whatever that means. I don't even know what that means.
That means they couldn't find anyone else, and you had to join the union.
Oh, is that what that means?
Because you were the only person who could play that role.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
I remember I was Taft-Hartley. And I guess that meant I could, is that what it means? You can join the union when you're Taft-Hartley.
Yeah.
So I was Taft-Hartley'd. And I guess that means I got to join the union.
Do you have to join the union when you're Taft-Hartley, or is it just...
I wanted to.
Okay.
I wanted to.
Well,
I remember that I wanted to join the union.
Well, you want those screeners, for starters.
Well, boy,
yeah, this is actually probably before that.
I feel like it was a kind of a milestone, a career milestone. It was a sense of that I had accomplished something. And then, and then I auditioned and didn't get a lot of parts, and then I decided to go become a writer and a director instead.
Really?
Yes.
Was it that forced you into writing?
Well, it wasn't like as causal as that. Like, I mean, it's true that I really was never very successful. I mean, I'm not just saying this. Like, I really was never successful as an actor, except in things I wrote for myself. And I knew anytime I auditioned, I wasn't going to get the part. And so, I mean, I would almost just be like, what's the point of this? Like, you're not going to hire me. I mean, I auditioned for thousands of sitcoms. And like, I would know the casting director really well. And I'd just be like, why are we even doing this? Like, some guy with better looking guy is going to get this, But so, honestly, what happened was, as I started to get a little older, the bug started to,
really?
that desire the passion to be an actor. Both, I didn't feel like I had that passion in the way that I saw it in friends of mine, or when I would go to see a play or a movie, and I would see that what I thought of as an actor, that there was a desire to do it that I just didn't have. I didn't have it. And I even would experience some stage fright sometimes, and just this sort of feeling of like, I don't feel like if this is what it feels like to be an actor, I don't think that's the right feeling you're supposed to have. And I've said this in sometimes I've done stand-up or something, and it's like I've talked about this experience I had. I was in a play in New York at the Classic Stage Company called The Alchemist, which is a restoration comedy written in the 17th century. I couldn't tell you anything about it. I have no clue. I was in that play. I read it. We rehearsed for a month. I don't know a single thing about what that show was about. Dan Castellaneta played The Alchemist. And this really amazing actor, New York stage actor named Jeremy Shamus played Jeremy.
Who's having a great year, too.
Yeah. He's in Meteor Shower right now, the Steve Martin play that's on Broadway with Amy Schumer. is a good buddy of mine, but they were the leads in this play, and I had a small part. This was in 1999, and my character kind of has a big scene where I come in and I have some lines, and then like I'm on stage like listening, but I'm not talking. It's all Dan Castellaneta and Jeremy Shamus, and there's this like very vivid moment where I was like on stage in character, and I just fell out of character. Like I just lost the character, and I was like, looked into the audience like, and it was just like, I'm just me up here, and like this is so weird. Like the illusion just went away, and it was everything for me not to just be like, hey, hi, like like it's not that, the show's not that good, is it? It's like. And the other actors in that show had all gone to graduate school, and they were trained, and they like were so into it.
Yeah.
And so I started to really feel like I wanted that I wanted to like focus more on writing and directing, and I love working with actors. I love the acting as a craft. I'm in awe of actors, and I have nothing but there's no greater thrill for me than to work with actors like I've been able to in these last couple projects, who have that kind of like abandon that I would have wanted for myself, and that I think I do have in what I like to do. That's really exciting.
But you couldn't have been that bad at auditioning, because I noticed you did things like you did a couple Law and Orders, like every New York actor.
Yeah.
You were in Signs.
That's like the one job I got from an audition.
Really? And that's
like the one actual thing that I auditioned for it, and I got it.
I mean, do you remember the process? Did you
walk
it was
out? It was Doug Abel was the casting director. I had done there's a story behind every part I have that isn't something I wrote. So I was in a play, and I have a weird sort of like Forrest Gumpy career in that it's like the one play you did was this play called How I Learned to Drive, which won the Pulitzer.
Of course. Yeah.
Like the one real, other than The Alchemist. That was my two professional plays, were this show How I Learned to Drive, which was starred Mary Louise Parker and David Morse, and they won every single award. And I just was in it. Like I was just the guy moving the chairs around. Like I was just the guy, the other guy. So the playwright was this great playwright named Paula Vogel, who was one of my teachers in college.
You're kidding. Oh my God, I love her.
And she's the best.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like she cast me because she kind of knew me from college. It wasn't because I was any good. And I got to watch these two actors, David Morse and Mary Louise Parker, give all-time great performances in this play and win literally every award. And we ran, 6 months or something at this tiny little theater called, I had it on the tip of my tongue and then I forgot it. Then it moved across the street to a bigger theater, and then I think it went to Broadway. Wow. But I left after the first run to go do Wet Hot American Summer. But then so Doug Abel, who the Vineyard, that's what the small theater was called, the Vineyard.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But so Doug Abel was the casting director of How I Learned to Drive, and he cast Signs, and so he brought me in to see M. Night Shyamalan, and like every other millions of auditions that I've had, I was like, just I want to get it over with. Yeah. It wasn't even like, it's literally just auditions, just like I just want to like survive this.
Yeah.
and I somehow got cast.
I mean, did you walk out of that audition thinking you nailed it?
No, not at all. Not even remotely.
Yeah.
No, and that's sort of what I mean is like I never ever felt. This is gonna sound. I hope this doesn't sound, too confident. But like when I'm taking a meeting about something script related or a directory, I really feel confident. Like I really feel like I know exactly what I'm talking about, and that if you I leave it all on the table kind of thing. Like if you don't want me for this job, it's only because like it isn't going to be because of anything I did. With auditioning, I don't think I ever once felt that way. It was almost like, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Never once did I ever once think like, yeah, I nailed that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an actor. I'm really not. I can act and I can perform but not what I believe it to be. Mm-hmm. Not what I believe an actor to be. And like when I see good acting, which is often, there's no jealousy, there's no I could do that, there's no I want to do that. None. You know, it's like I'm just like, oh my God, that's so great. I'm a fan. I'm just a fan.
Well, having friends like Jeremy Shamus probably
oh my God.
Is humbling. I was just thinking, because the first time I think I saw him was Clybourne Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's when you saw him.
Yes.
But he's a guy that does play after play after play after play after play after play.
And then as soon as you become aware of him, you see him everywhere.
He's in The Big Sick.
That's right. Of course, he's the
he plays Bob Dalavan.
Yes.
Bob Dalavan. I would do anything would do anything to work with Jeremy on anything.
Sorry, my mind at Clybourne Park was one of my favorite plays when I saw it, and he literally blew me away.
It's an incredible play. Have you seen Clybourne Park? Have people seen it? It's a really brilliant show.
Did any of you see The Alchemist?
No. Clybourne Park is set before and after the play Raisin in the Sun, in this gentrified neighborhood of Chicago, and it's like sort of like when it starts, it's like it's sort of like there's the black families are moving into this neighborhood, and then then it starts before that, and then it fast forwards to now that neighborhood is being gentrified.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really brilliant.
It's amazing. You should do a film adaptation of it. Just throwing it out
that's
there.
a great idea. That's a great idea.
Serious,
no,
actually.
that is a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, talk to Scott Rudin. He owns the rights. So, and I will take my 20%.
Yeah,
it's
very easy to deal with. That'll be no problem.
Chair across from me before.
Oh, has he really?
Yes. And he was really lovely, genuinely. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I actually, I'm thinking about how to get my 20% out of this deal when it happens. I actually want to go back to the beginning because you were born and raised in New Jersey?
Yep.
New York?
Princeton, New Jersey, yep.
Your family was very, they were professors,
right.
weren't they? I mean, how did they feel when you started to express an interest in the arts?
Well, they were also are huge culture buffs, and so growing up, I saw every movie, every play, every musical, and loved it. From a very early age, was very, very, very absorbed that, and would go see Westerns, and because Princeton University is in my town, so there would be retrospectives and a Clint Eastwood festival and a Hitchcock festival and and we would go see all that stuff, and I loved it. So my earliest plan though was to go become a cinema studies teacher. Really? Was to go into the family business and write about film and write about cinema. And so when I went to college, that was my focus, was going to be in the area of like film criticism or cinema studies. And my freshman year of college got involved in this comedy group that ended up becoming the State. We were called the New Group when we were in college, but we changed. When we all graduated, we changed our names to the State and went pro. And I kind of had like give me 2 years to do this conversation with my parents. Give me 2 years. Let me see how this goes, and then if I fail, then I'll go to grad school or something like that. And I mean, the State, we had our own TV show on MTV like within 6 months of graduating from college in 1992, and we had no idea how unusual that was.
Really? Were you like, this is easy?
Oh yeah. It was so like well, of course I have a TV show. We're like hot shit. Like we were so cocky.
Yeah.
And like a punk rock band.
Yeah.
We were just like, F you to the world. We're hot shit. And then when that blew up, which it did, I was like, whoa, now what? And that's where I had to kind of figure out what I really wanted to do.
How did the new group sort of form? Was it, I just don't know if it was like an open call?
It was an open call.
It really was.
It was an open call.
Was it always the same core 11 people?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people came in and out. I mean, there was a comedy group at NYU that was kind of like the comedy group that everybody loved. They were called the Sterile Yak, which is a hilarious name. So they were called the Sterile Yak. And they were so popular that they were not able to take new people because they were just so great. So they had a B team, like a junior varsity team.
Really?
Which was sort of like the Sterile Yak, we can only accept maybe one new member per year, like that, very exclusive. But we're going to start this junior varsity squad. And so all of the like rejects can go into the junior varsity squad. And I actually vividly recall having a conversation. This is 1988 on the corner of 8th Street and Broadway with Joe Latruglio, who's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Michael Ian Black. And we were becoming friends at this time because we all met at this like orientation thing to audition for the Sterile Yak. And the conversation was like, fuck them, let's just audition for the other one because we have a better chance to get in. Like the odds are really good that we'll get into the junior varsity team because it doesn't exist. So they need bodies. And so we didn't even audition for the Sterile Yak. We only auditioned for the other one.
Really?
Yes. And then so at that very first like meeting of the new group was Carrie Kenny and Michael Black and Joe and Ken Marino and Tom Lennon came a little bit later, Ben Garant. David Wayne was in the Sterile Yak and then he quit the Sterile Yak and joined the new group. Yeah, David Wayne migrated into the new group.
Was that like a
what ended up happening is like that the new group did our first show and like the Sterile Yak like disbanded.
Really?
It was like they were like
Really?
Yeah. And we were like, I will say we were like one of the weird alchemy things of the new group. We were called the new group, then we became the State. It was like 10 people who'd never met, freshmen in college, who had the most insane passion and drive to do comedy. And we were really hard on each other. Really, really hard on each other. And I know that that's unusual because I then transferred to Brown University after my freshman year at NYU. I then left NYU and went to Brown and was in an improv group, which I loved. But that was like all fun. Yeah. That was all like happy, huggy. Everyone, everyone felt good about that experience. And the new group from day one was like a total dog eat dog, survival of the fittest kind of experience that was really great, but also really excruciating.
Did they let you still play with them when you were around?
Yes. And the group kind of like, two of them, Michael Black and Ben Garant, went off and they did like the Ninja Turtles tour, but they were the like advanced squad. So like the Ninja Turtles were like doing a big stadium tour and Michael Black and Ben Garant would be the guys that came the week before and would go to the like hospital and stuff.
Oh, as the Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, okay. So like, or the mall. Yeah. They'd go to the mall and like shake hands with people, and but like the real Ninja Turtles were like still in Dayton or whatever. Yes. So they were like a week in front of the tour, and they did that. So they dropped out of NYU to do that. I transferred to Brown, and then Ken Marino and David Wayne and a third guy, Todd Hollebeck, were a year older. And so in a weird way, our college thing only lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so amazing because I have trouble getting like 2 people to show up for dinner, but you had like 11 people who were consistently working together. And it's funny you talk about like being hard on each other because I have a friend who actually I think may have played with you guys in the beginning, but he basically said, he's also the Forrest Gump of Hollywood. He has all these stories about.
Who is it?
Terry Tocantins?
Oh my God.
Oh, you do? Okay. I was like, this would be awful.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he was that guy, and I don't think he'd be embarrassed if I said this, who like would just oversleep and never show up and has like missed numerous career opportunities.
So Terry, He's not here, right?
He's in grad school now.
What's he doing in grad school?
Studying theater. Yeah.
Terry was the guy that was like, well, Terry's going to get into this group. Terry was the star. No, the state. And we were shocked that he wasn't in the group.
Because
Terry was the star.
Wow.
I haven't heard the name Terry Tocantine in 20 years. Seriously.
Well, he's doing great now.
He was brilliant. He was brilliant.
Sorry about that. But,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But no, I mean, like he's the first person to say he screwed it up by not having the commitment and being willing to be hard on himself.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
So so Terry, if you're watching, and I'll tell him to watch. But I mean, could you have imagined that it would become such a significant part of your life? Did you know at the time?
No.
And something I think is interesting is you guys were never technically canceled by MTV.
No, we left. We quit.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
We quit.
But I mean, that means you could.
We quit because we were going to go to ABC and challenge SNL, and then I mean, there's a whole like rise and fall thing that happened. We sort of went out of MTV with a blaze of glory, like F you, we're going to network, we're going to take on SNL, and then at the last second, ABC kind of like pulled their offer, and then we went to CBS and we had some sort of arrangement with CBS that we were going to do for. Meanwhile, there was infighting and we weren't getting along and there were too many of us and the egos were starting to get pretty big because I won't assume that people know these people, but there's a lot of like very, very intensely opinionated people, writers, a lot of like very intensely opinionated writer performers. And I mean, like, you know, there was a lot of tension.
So when the show didn't, I mean, could you have gone back to MTV after that, or were you?
Maybe I don't even. It's like it's all. I don't. Well, not really. It was more just we were dumb. We were just stupid. It wasn't even about being ready to move on. We were just young and crazy and stupid.
And you mentioned you kind of thought because the breaks did come so early, you thought this would be easy. What happened after that? Did you find it hard to?
Oh yeah, and then
forward?
Absolutely, and then that structure went away, and it was like, you know, a lot. That's when the kind of the auditioning, the years. That was the sort of like the years of auditioning for stuff and not getting cast, and not. It just I didn't know what I really wanted to do, and I didn't know I knew I had talent as a writer, but I didn't really know how to write stuff, and it's a whole long thing. It's a whole long thing.
During that time, weren't you on The Daily Show?
No.
For a period of time?
No.
That's not true?
That is not true.
I thought that seemed strange, but
yeah,
you know.
It's not true.
Have someone update your Wikipedia.
I know.
Because they insist you're on The Daily Show.
I know. I know that.
Where does something like that come from?
I don't know. I think I'm in the like literally the first episode of The Daily Show.
Oh, so you were. You did.
I was on literally the first episode.
Yeah.
And then I never was on it again after.
Were you a correspondent on that?
I was a correspondent, but it was when Craig Kilborn was the host of it, and it wasn't The Daily Show yet. It was like something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's like in my resume, and that didn't happen.
So, but you talked about, you know, doing some auditioning. Did you have any of those nightmare auditions that we hear so
I
much
mean,
about?
all my auditions were nightmare auditions in a way because I would have a nervous breakdown when I would audition. Like you think I'm joking, or
No,
you know,
no,
like I'm really serious. Like I, you know, I wish one of my agents was here. Like I would just say, guys, I'm not going to audition. I've said this and it's true. If as has happened, a friend offers me to go be like guy number 5, like on his TV show or in his web video or whatever, I'll do it. If the Coen brothers called me and said, we want you to play the lead in our next movie, but you have to audition, I would say no. It is not worth the emotional agony that I go through to audition. And so, you know, there are countless times that I would audition for something that on paper would look like a great opportunity. And I really mean it when I tell you the only thing going through my mind was, I just want this to be over.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I want to get this part. It was just, I need to save face and not have the casting director or whatever call my agent and be like, what's up with Showalter? Like, what the fuck, one thing that sticks out in my mind was, it was Sunset Strip, the Aaron Sorkin sketch comedy show.
Studio 60 on the Sunset.
So that's the kind of thing that I would have been perfect for that. Yes. And they were doing auditions. It's a New York show. It was like a big gig. It was like a show that everyone was wanting to get on that show and get cast in that show. And I auditioned for. It was like 12 people, and it was like Aaron Sorkin and then like 10 other people just like smushed into a couch. And I was just like, and then I did it. It was like I was really just tanking the audition, and and I just remember feeling like I just want to get out of here, and I didn't. So that was years. There was years of that. And so that's where I started putting my energy more into writing. So it was Stella and Wet Hot American Summer, where like I had it was different. It wasn't just me writing roles for myself to be in, and maybe it felt like that at the time. It was more like, this is really more who I am. And so if you were to ever look at my acting career, you'd see that like it went more and more towards, by the end, I was literally just playing Michael Showalter.
Yeah.
Like it starts out and I'm kind of playing a bunch of different roles, and then I'm like in stuff, and I was in Signs, and I was in a play, and and then I'm like in Stella, and it's kind of a version of myself, right. And then I'm in Michael and Michael Have Issues, and it's a more actually true version of myself. And then like the Michael Showalter web series, and it's just like me. And then I remember I did a pilot at IFC for the Michael Showalter, which is my talk show thing. And I remember thinking when I was shooting that pilot, which was 2009 maybe, this is it for my acting career. I'm done.
Really?
Yeah, I'm done. Like I remember feeling like this is going to be the last thing. If it gets picked up, great. If not, I'm done with acting. It's gone. It's gone. And then I it all comes full circle, because then I went to New York. Started teaching at NYU Graduate Film School, and that original plan to be go in the family business actually came true. Right. And then that's what I did for 6 years. Was I was teaching at NYU in their writing department, and it all and I sort of reset. Yeah. I reset during that period.
Just to go back real quick, have you run into Aaron Sorkin at all since then?
No, he was very nice.
He was
nice
very.
Guy. I will tell you that he was very, very nice. He wanted me to be comfortable. He was not intimidating in the least. I mean, he was, just because he's Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
but he was a nice guy. Mm-hmm. I remember thinking that, like, wow, you're a nice guy.
So you must have an extra empathy for actors when they come in to audition for you.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I don't like auditions.
I wondered about that.
I don't like
you work
auditions.
with a lot of the same people.
I will tell you that when we did Wet Hot American Summer, so Bradley Cooper auditioned for Wet Hot American Summer.
Well, it wasn't Bradley Cooper then.
And it was like his first part, I think, or certainly one of his first parts. And like that guy, I mean, I remember seeing like Bradley just like, this guy like, I mean, he couldn't walk into a room without getting cast in something, And so like I did see in some people, like there is a kind of person that has that confidence that I told you I have when I go in to talk about a script or something, which is like, this is no sweat. Like you should cast me, and if you don't, that's not my problem, that's yours. And he had that quality of like, this is no big deal. Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to say this? Fine, I'll say that. And you're like, cast, we want him. Yeah. I hate watching auditions. I hate, it's so uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
So when I'm directing and I'm I'm just nothing, but I just feel so.
That's not going to make the actor feel better, by the way.
No, I know. No, I have to fake it. It. And by the way, and then you see actors come in, and I'm blown away by what they're doing. Blown away by the commitment, by the abandon. Again, by that, just like I know when I see a good actor, and I now know from the other side of it, like, so many good people come in and audition for a part. It's not like everyone sucked and the one person who got the job was the only one who was good at it. They're all good. They're all good. And but like, I'm so impressed by people who come in and just give 100% in that room, and then thank you, and then they leave.
You might have just answered this, but because there are so many actors here,
Yeah.
is there anything you would want someone to know coming into that room?
I mean, you know, I know from my years as an actor that there's all these different things that they tell you, you know, like you come in and you do small talk or whatever, like there's these like tips and stuff. I like it when the actor comes in, and I don't need a lot of small talk. Actually, I don't want to know you that well. I want to see your character. Like, I don't need to get to know you. That could happen later, but like, I want to see you become this character in front of my eyes. And so that's what I'm looking for, is for people to walk in the room and like be that person and show me what that person looks like. Cause I kind of think I know, but you're waiting for that person to be like, you know 70% what you want this person to be. I'll fill in the rest.
But you knew you could act, right? Because when you did Wet Hot American Summer, you wrote it probably knowing you were going to be the lead? Yeah,
but that was like, even that. I mean, I look at that movie and I'm like, no. Yes, but no. Like, yes, I did. I wrote that for myself to be the lead, but no, I don't like it. I don't like looking at it. I don't like to see myself perform.
Ever? Like, okay. That movie was released in 2001, I believe. And, you know, it's gone on to become such a cult hit. But at that time, I mean, independent movies weren't as prolific as they are now. They weren't coming out quite with such frequency. And I always wondered how you were able to finance, how you were able to sell this movie, you know, that was such a specific genre and, you know, parodying a specific time.
To get it financed?
Yeah.
We had some good, at that time, Janeane Garofalo was a star. So we had cast. We had enough cast we had enough sort of like well-known cast members to get a little bit of financing together to go shoot the movie. But it wasn't like a huge budget or anything.
No, it was less than $2 million,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. So we got the movie financed on the strength of like the names that were attached to it, and the sort of the sense of, you know, why not, kind of. And then we went to Sundance, the Sundance Film Festival, and with the hopes of selling it for a ton of money to Miramax, who at the time nobody knew was Harvey Weinstein was a monster. And then, well, actually we did know.
I was going to say,
no, we did know. Everyone did know. But like that was what you did. You went to Sundance and you got a 3-picture deal from Miramax, and that was the dream. And no one bought the movie.
Really? I thought it did really well at Sundance.
No.
Really? Because I remember reading, because I heard about, I mean, I was probably just starting to track stuff like this then, but I remember reading about it in Entertainment Weekly. Like,
well, that was the one good review.
They loved it.
That was the one, Owen Gleiberman.
Oh my gosh.
Was the one good review.
Yeah.
He was literally the one good review.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, Owen.
But you did.
Everybody else was like, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen in my entire life. And Owen Gleiberman's review is actually like, everyone thinks this movie's a piece of shit, but it's actually really good. And
put that on the poster.
Yeah. And no, we didn't sell the movie.
But you eventually did.
Eventually we did, for a tiny fraction of what it cost. And it came out and went away, very quickly went away. And it was a total, like, if you build it, they will come thing, where the movie kind of came and went as far as any of us really knew. And then all of a sudden you started hearing, you know, they're showing the movie at, you know, such and such school at midnight at one of their campus events. And you're like, that's kind of funny. Yeah. And then you're hearing, oh, you know, getting sent a picture of like, hey, these are me and my friends. It's Halloween. We dressed up as your character. You're like, it's kind of interesting. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, like there's a whole thing happening with this. Yeah.
Do you do you have any theories as to why it sort of took on a life of its own?
I think because there was a like secret to it, which was like if you got it, it made you feel like the fact that so many people didn't get it was part of the game of it. It was like, I get it. Like, you don't get it? Because I do get it. So it was almost like an inside joke.
Yeah.
That you felt like, I get the inside joke and makes me feel special because it was like very personal in a way. Like you felt like, yeah, that like, I get it. I know what they're doing. And so it tapped into that.
It's just so funny to me because I knew it didn't do well in its theatrical run, and I remember going to see it at the theater in Westwood. I think I just moved here, actually. It might have been the first movie I saw when I moved to LA. And, you know, I think it was there maybe like 3 or 4 days. It was like hard to find.
Yeah.
But then after that, it seemed
like the one theater that it played at in New York was that like theater on 42nd Street that has like 40 screens.
You're kidding.
Like that's where they showed Wet Hot American Summer in New York City, in Times Square.
Wow.
Not downtown. You could not go see that movie downtown in New York. You had to go to Times Square and see it in a movie theater that had 40 screens in it.
Was there a moment when you realized it sort of entered the pop culture vernacular?
Not a singular moment. It was sort of what I said. There was this sort of slow bubble to where you went like, oh, it's a thing. And then you started to hear about as social media, with the rise of social media, people sort of using it as a litmus test of like, you know, when, you know, if you like that movie, then that means we could like date romantically.
Right.
Like, it could be used as a barometer of what kind of a person you were.
Right.
If you liked that movie, it could work in that way.
That's got to feel rewarding though after you thought it was dead and
it's great.
buried.
It's great. It's great.
And all these years later, I feel like you guys talked for a long time about a sequel or continuing it. How did it finally happen?
We eventually started thinking, yeah, let's start writing a sequel to the movie. And then Netflix was sort of happening simultaneously, like the Netflix model, which seemed like this sort of like total creative control, not ratings-based system. And it felt like, wow, that would be really cool. What if we did it at Netflix? Because we could never have gone onto, you know, Fox and done it at Fox as a series. But I mean, we could have tried, but we didn't. So we went to Netflix and we said like, what about this? And they said, that sounds fun. Like, what if, you know, we won't give you any money, but we know, I mean, we'll give you a little bit of money, but we won't give you a lot of money. And we're like, but I'm telling you, the whole cast is going to do it. The whole cast. They're like, yeah, right. I know for a fact they did not believe us when we told them the whole cast was going to do it. And sure enough, the entire cast came back to me.
But that had to be a logistical nightmare. Like I heard you only had Bradley Cooper for like, how many days was it? Because I've heard everything from 1 day to, you know.
It felt like 1 day. I think it was 1 day, but I'm not sure.
Really?
But you can shoot a lot in a day. If you're set
can.
up for it. If
Yeah.
you're set up for it, you can get a lot done. The logistical nightmare of it was not my issue. Was not on me. That's all David Wayne and the assistant directors and the producers. My job was mostly in the writing, and once the writing was done, I was just another actor on the show.
So it didn't affect the writing because you didn't have to think like, we only have this person for so many days.
Yeah, I suppose it did a little bit. I suppose it did a little bit. But one of the ways that Wet Hot is written in the movie too is that like they kind of meet, all the characters meet, and then like they all go off on their separate little things. And so it wasn't a thing where you were going to notice that they're not all together because they aren't supposed to be all together. They all go off on a different adventure and then they reconvene. And so there's some like camera trick stuff where it looks like I'm talking to you, but we're talking, it's different days that we're, you know, but,
or DJ Ski Mask.
Well, yeah.
Comes in very handy.
Yes. Yeah, DJ Ski. Bradley Cooper's character's like, I'm just going to put this ski mask on now. And then but the big joke is that at some point he lifts the mask up and scratches his eyeball. And so the joke there was that like the joke was like the idea being like, so that actually is Bradley Cooper in a ski mask the whole time. Like, why would you do that? Like, you have Bradley Cooper. Like, it seemed like the joke was it's not Bradley Cooper.
Right.
And so the joke is that you're going to put him in a ski mask and pretend it's Bradley Cooper, but it's really just a guy in a ski mask saying he's Bradley Cooper. But then he lifts up the ski mask and it is Bradley Cooper. And then you're like, wait, you had Bradley Cooper. Why is he in a ski mask?
And then when you decided to, this is 15 years after you shot the original movie, and yet you're playing the same age.
Right, right, and younger, and they're younger.
Yeah, technically
so
they're
in
younger.
in the first series of Netflix, they're actually 8 weeks younger,
right,
than they are in the movie.
Did you worry about that, or did you just lean into the joke?
No,
yeah.
Oh no. I mean, we were 30 when we made the movie.
Yeah.
Playing 16-year-olds. And then we were in our mid-40s in the prequel, playing younger than we were when we made the movie. And actually, we thought that was really funny. And like, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, we talked a lot about when we made the movie that, you know, that movie, the Olivia Newton-John, John Travolta Grease, where they're all like old people. Yeah. You know, like, and like, you know, like, Stockard Channing is like an old person in that movie, playing a senior in high school. But like, you don't care. And so that was sort of like the influence.
And when you decided to do a second series, did you have several ideas, or did you always know you would do 10 years later?
There were a few sort of areas that we thought could work as a second season, or as a whole season, parents' weekend, or like ski camp, like the camp that I went to. Had a week, 2 weeks in the winter where you went and did ski camp, and we could do like ski camp tropes, you know. But it was too irresistible that there was that scene in the original movie,
right,
where all of our main characters agree to meet 10 years later and see what kind of people they've turned into. Which when we did it, we had no intent. It wasn't like, hey, we'll put this scene in the movie and then that'll become the basis for a sequel. It was just a scene in the movie, and then it was too irresistible to resist that, and then to give us an opportunity to kind of do something in the like St. Elmo's Fire, Big Chill reunion movie. Thing,
and introduce characters who had apparently been there all along.
Who've been there all along.
Yes.
Which we edited them into that original scene, nodding, and.
I mean, was there any part of you that was hesitant because the movie had gone on to see such success? Did you hesitate to revisit it?
Me, no.
Yeah.
David, Wayne, the director, I think had some of that anxiety of not wanting to. I don't know, spoil a good thing.
Yeah.
I just loved those characters and wanted to do more. And so for me, it was just like, I still have like jokes to tell in this universe. And so I don't care. I'm not worried that it's not going to be good. I know it's going to be good.
Who had the idea for you to play Ronald Reagan? Was that something you volunteered, or?
I feel like it was me. I feel like when we were writing this show, in the writer's room, like I was sort of the head writer or whatever, like, and I'm like, being Ronald Reagan, and at some point it was just, well, you should just play Ronald Reagan, which is really just Clint Eastwood with a head bob. My Ronald Reagan is just Clint Eastwood with a head bob.
And are there plans for a third series, or are you allowed to say? Or?
There aren't. As of right now, there's no immediate plans for a third series, but I would not bet against it.
I mean, have you kicked around ideas about like what that would be?
Not really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you've seen the second season, it kind of has a kind of an ending.
Yeah.
Where we sort of suggest that maybe this whole thing has been made up. And exists in this book that my character Coop wrote, a book called Wet Hot American Summer. And he even says to his editor, played by Melanie Linsky, the brilliant Melanie Linsky, well, wouldn't it be boring if I just told you we just went to camp and played volleyball or whatever? And isn't it much more interesting if I tell you that all this crazy shit happened? And so it felt like an interesting way to end a little bit of an ending. Yeah.
The other significant show I wanted to touch on is you obviously started doing shorts with Michael Ian Black and David Wayne, the Stella shorts, which then became a series on Comedy Central. Were there things you wanted to do differently that time, sort of lessons you'd learned from your experience with the state?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Stella was all about Stella was all about that there weren't rules that we had to follow, that there weren't principles or precedents that we couldn't break, or, oh, that's too silly, that's too this, that's too that, because there was a lot of that.
He works here. It's good.
I just had the desire to be like act weird about it.
No, it caught me off guard too.
But the state was a lot of like, well, we can't do that because of this, and well, that wouldn't be funny because such and such, or well, that's too similar to this, or and that felt really like a big bummer to me. Like I personally was like, I just want to like, why does it, why can't we? I'm very big on like, well, if we think it's funny, let's do it. Like what I don't like rules. I mean, in a way I do like rules, but I don't like arbitrary rules. That's what I don't like. I don't like arbitrariness. And so if someone can explain why something won't work and convince me that they're right, then I will take that. But just on the face of it, you can't just be like, oh, we can't do that because of X. So Stella was very much of like, there's nothing we can't do. There's nothing we can't try. There's no joke that on its surface can't work if we execute it the right way. And so it was very freeing, very freeing.
Was there ever anything that you just couldn't do? Like you were like, no, it's just too silly?
No. On Stella? Yes. Have you ever seen Stella?
Yeah. I'm obsessed
can't
with
get lots sillier than that. I mean, there were many things on the State that were. There were many sketches that I know I wrote on the State that were like deemed too silly or too something. And so again, like Stella was like the opportunity to pull that away and just be like, there's no such thing as, if anything, it was like we went too far.
Yeah.
If anything, it was that we lost the thread of normalcy. And I've said this before too, like when we were writing Stella, I know I was thinking like, we finally did it. We finally cracked the code of like the mainstream, like here we got our Seinfeld, we got it, And then the reviews came out and were like, this is the most cracked out weird show ever of all time. And I was devastated.
Really?
Devastated.
I would take that as a compliment.
No.
It was not meant as a compliment.
No. It was definitely not meant as a compliment. and I didn't, and I was devastated because I was like, what am I missing? Like why are these things, Stella, Wet Hot, even the State, so funny to me? I think this is really funny, but why is it being so rejected why is the critical response so negative, and why is the mainstream reaction so polarized? Because we're not trying to be polarizing with Wet Hot. We weren't trying to draw lines in the sand of either you get it or you don't or anything like that. We're just trying to be funny, like Airplane. But it was polarizing in some way, and so I took a lot of that on myself as like, what am I missing? How can I make what I'm doing reach more people, because I want it to. I don't want this to just be something that like a tiny fraction of people get. I want more people to get it.
I feel like it was a bigger fraction than that, but maybe that's just me telling myself that.
Well, you were in that tiny fraction.
I was. In my own house, there was a microcosm of what you just described, because I had a roommate who, I was obsessed with the episode where you guys grow vegetables in your apartment, and it made her insane.
Growing vegetables.
Yes. No, she would walk through and
that
be
episode is called Growing Vegetables.
She would walk through and say, you can't do that. Because you were literally growing like vegetables.
Yes, and then we become like, and then there's like migrant workers working in our apartment, and then we're like mistreating them. And then the crops dry up, and like we get like really like egotistical, and then we're
overfarm the land.
And then we overfarm the land, and then the crops dry up, and then we starve. We start to starve. There's like a famine. Then crazy. I think is that the one where we become and then we like have to go and then we have to go like into the fields, and we're picking cotton, and we're singing like
Grapes of Wrath.
Like we're singing and then we're singing like
spirituals.
we're spirituals in the like So I thought that was mainstream. I thought that was like
No.
Little did I know.
I thought it was hilarious, and it just made my roommate crazy.
Yeah.
She was like, that just doesn't happen.
What is this? Yeah.
And she would walk through the room just in disgust. You know?
Yeah.
But I always assumed you guys knew you were doing something outside the box. You really thought that was mainstream.
Well, I thought that it would click. It's not so much that I thought it was mainstream as much as that I thought it was so obvious what we were doing and that it would click because it's really funny. I'm really proud of it. Stella, the TV show, is like really good. It's really visually good. It's like a very high production. It like looks good. It's so creative and fun and off the wall, but like it just didn't, people see it and they're just like, what is that? I hate that.
And did you guys do 2 seasons?
1.
See, it says 1, but I could have sworn there was a second one because I have 2 DVDs. Maybe that's why.
Nope.
I mean, did they officially cancel you, or was it another thing? Where
No, they just canceled it.
And was that tough for you?
Horrible.
Really?
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Devastating.
Did you take it harder than the losing the state?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But you, actually, that was the same year that you released the Baxter, isn't it? That it came out.
I don't remember. Yeah.
2005 was your feature directorial debut with the Baxter, which is, it's actually funny because I do think this is such a mainstream premise.
Yeah.
It's, the guy in the romantic comedy who doesn't get the girl, who gets left behind, the Bill Pullmans of the time.
By the way, I hope we get to the part of my career that wasn't like all just like noble failures.
These are
there's
my
like a
favorite
whole,
things.
there's like 20 years of noble failures. Yes. That's like the first, like if I were to write a book, I would call it Noble Failure. But as long as we get to the...
Sure. I would call that book all of Janelle's favorite things.
All of Janelle. Well, and I love the back. I mean, all of these are things that I'm
great.
super proud of these things. And but I mean, for me, the through line is that they didn't connect. So for people that like it, and I'm grateful for this, and people get very frustrated with me that I'm so sort of like, that I can't be happier about it. But like, I was just wanting a job. Like, even though it was like my stuff, it was like, I'm like, fuck, like I made this movie, The Baxter, and like, but I can't get a job. No one looks thinking of me as a director. It didn't lead to anything.
Which is shocking because I know that one was well received.
It was mediocre.
No,
mediocre.
I've seen the Rotten Tomatoes.
Mediocre.
I double checked today. It was at like 75%.
No. I could check. Let's check it right now.
Check it right now because I'm telling you.
Check it right now. I'm pretty sure it's rotten.
Yeah. No,
I'm pretty sure The Baxter's rotten.
I'm pretty sure it's fresh.
I'm almost willing to make a bet with you that it's rotten.
I will bet you anything. I'll bet you.
Who's got it? Why are people owing?
I don't know. I think I said something that might have been a triple entendre or something. I don't have much to bet. You can have my dog.
I don't want your dog. I have 2
You haven't
kids.
met my dog.
2 tiny children. Does anyone have Rotten Tomatoes? Here we go. Are you ready? I will really be shocked. I will give you I'll give you $20.
But this is weird because don't you want me to be right?
I do totally want you to be right.
Okay.
I just don't think you are.
You might not get reception in here. It's like, it's like a dead zone. So we will revisit.
But anyway, no, I mean, that was another thing where I felt like people are all checking their...
I don't think anyone can get... This is like a dead zone when it comes to like reception.
The Baxter. Baxter. Baxter.
I could give you the Wi-Fi code, but that might not be a good idea.
So anyway...
All right, then why don't we jump ahead to a movie that I know was a financial
we could talk about The Baxter.
Success.
We could talk about The Baxter.
Okay, because I love The Baxter.
Yeah,
You're
I do too.
With an amazing cast.
Michelle Williams, Peter Dinklage, Justin Theroux, Liz Banks.
Yeah. And also your feature directorial debut, was it intimidating or did you?
Yeah, that was very overwhelming. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was playing the main role, so I was like directing myself. I didn't know how to direct yet. At all, really. What was it? 32%.
Nope.
83. No.
Wait, I'm getting a lot of different figures. What's the fake news?
Yeah, 32%. 32%. Right there.
Wait, what's this other Baxter?
That's like about a dog.
The audience
That's a movie
likes
about a
it.
dog. Well, but like, no, it's 32. That's what it is.
No, click on it and tell me what the audience percentage is. 75. That's where I saw the 75.
Well, but so I mean, like the
But
thing
you
about,
wanted to be the mainstream guy.
Well, but the thing, it's
audience
not about
liked it.
but the thing about the Baxter is like, first of all, it's like, I'm going to tell you two things I'm thinking right now. Like, I'm like, these people don't know what the Baxter is, but then I'm like, this is about my career. Like, of course because I'm like, I'm sorry if you haven't seen the Baxter, but no, I'm not. You're here to see me talk about my career, so I'm gonna talk about the Baxter. Like, because normally I'd be like, I'm just gonna assume none of you have seen it, but it's like, no, I'm gonna assume you have seen it. It really was like, wait, you don't like, this is a very like. So this is like a super semiotic, complicated movie, actually. And the reviews were like, it's a dippy rom-com. That kind of thing is heartbreaking.
Yeah, especially for someone.
So I mean, that 32% is a lot of that. It's like this is just kind of a dippy rom-com, and it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's actually, and that gets to Stella and Big Sick, Wet Hot, which is, if you go to a movie and you watch that movie based only on your perception of what you want it to be, you're going to miss a lot of good movies that way. If you go to a movie and you try to understand what the people who made the movie are trying to do, there's a whole different level of enjoyment, or of whether you enjoy it or not, is a whole other level of how you receive that. So when I go to see a movie or a play or listen to music or anything, I'm entirely trying to understand what the people who made it are trying to do, and then I make my own judgment based on what I'm usually like, I think I know what they were trying to do, and they either, for my purposes, either like accomplished that or didn't. But it's never like, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. That's a terrible review. Like, but that's what they always are. It's like, I went there thinking it was going to be this, but it was this, and I was so annoyed. Like, I wish it had a happy ending or whatever. It's like, as someone who makes that stuff, there's nothing more frustrating than that. So with all of these things, with Wet Hot, with Stella, my thing was always, and there's a lot of negative reviews of those projects. Baxter, really harsh negative reviews. And I read reviews. I read the New York Times. I grew up reading the New York Times. I read those reviews and I care about what people think. It was like, you don't even get it. Yeah. Like, if you're gonna write a negative review, fine, but you gotta at least get it. So write the review that starts with like, I know exactly what they were trying to do, and here's what it was. And then I go like, okay, good, you understood what you were trying to do, but I didn't like it. I'm like, fine, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But if you didn't like it because you were expecting meatballs and it wasn't meatballs, and you're disappointed that we didn't make meatballs, then that's really upsetting, because that review's out there and people are reading that and people are reacting to it based on that. And so, there's always a pit in your stomach when you see what you're doing being written about.
Well, especially since you were interested in film criticism.
Oh yeah.
Like you probably know exactly what's wrong with these reviews when you're reading them. Like you just said, you didn't make the movie they wanted or expected.
Yes, and the movie, the Baxter particularly is like all about meaning. It's all about meaning. It's all about that movie's all about what I'm trying to say, and what I'm doing in the movie. It's all about that. And so to have that not be seen, and to have it just be judged as like a dippy rom-com, as opposed to what I think it is, which is like a deconstruction of romantic comedy in a very, very like, thought out way, it's just a bummer. It's deflating. And it can make you want to stop doing it. It can make you want to give up. And so, there's a big dip where I kind of took a big step back, because I'm just like, this is like, sucks. I don't like being, punched in the face over and over again, which again, like, to the people who like the stuff that I was doing, it doesn't feel like that. It's like, I love the Wet Hot or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but for me, there's a crushing disappointment there. And in a way that's a negative, because I probably like not as like, happy-go-lucky of a person as, but in a way it like it drives me forward. That really, that never goes away for me.
But don't you think, like, and I think that this can be proven in so many ways, you were just ahead of your time? I mean, look at the reviews for the Wet Hot American Summer TV show. And you're doing what you were doing before.
I know.
To a large extent.
Yes, yes.
So don't you feel a little vindicated?
Oh, yeah. It's very gratifying, but it's also a little bit of like, yeah, of course, now you like it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a little bit of like bandwagon-y stuff. It's like, you know, yeah, now you think, you know, it's like when I was in college and when I went to, this is like, you know, chip on my shoulder stuff. Mm-hmm. Like when Michael Jordan like got into the Hall of Fame and he was like, all about the coach in junior year of high school that didn't play him. And he was like, this is for you. You know, I'm like, I get that. I get that. Like, no, I really get that. Like, that chip never goes away. It's like when I was at Brown, my sophomore year of college, and I was at Brown, I auditioned for like 20 plays. There were like 100 million plays at Brown and like all these different theaters and, you know, like the campus theater and the bigger theater and the smaller theater and the experimental theater. And I auditioned for everything. I didn't get cast in a single thing. That was first semester. Then I got into the improv group, and the improv group was sort of like a big deal. There was a very popular improv group, and then I couldn't not get cast in anything. Really? You know, like within 3 months, I went from like a guy that couldn't even make the chorus of a musical to 1 semester later, I'm getting the lead in everything. And it was sort of like, I was like, I'm happy, but I'm also like, F you, man.
Yeah.
And so I carry that with me. So like, you know, I hope that I never become like a bandwagon guy.
Well, I mean, you were busy. There was 10 years between the Baxter and your the next film you directed, which was a huge financial and critical success. Hello, my name is Doris. Yes. And
I did it!
You can retire now.
It only took 25 years, but I did it, yeah.
But you, I don't mean to imply that you weren't busy during that time, because you were directing other shows, you were creating things, you were writing, and you were also teaching.
I was mostly teaching.
Yeah.
And doing some writing, yes.
But was there a hesitancy to try again?
No hesitancy, but just it wasn't something that was available to me. Mm-hmm. So even with Doris, it was the script that I wrote, and no one wanted to make it, and nobody wanted to make a movie about an old lady. You know, no one was interested in that. And my agents were like, why are you trying to, this is the movie you want to do? You know, like, this is the movie, you know, about a woman in her 60s, and what are you doing, Mike? You know, and I'm like, I don't know, I just love this character. She's so great, you know. And one producer in New York, Daniela Taplin, who a friend who doesn't do this kind of movie. This aren't the kind of movies that her company does, but she believed in me enough to say like, all right, I'll give you a tiny bit of money to make this movie. And then the real kind of, you know, true kind of, you know, moment is when Sally Field said she would do the movie.
I was wondering when she got attached.
She got attached, you know, like 2 weeks after she said she'd do the movie. We were in prep, so like way into it, and when that happened, it was like, oh, this is my shot. Like, I'm not going to let this one go. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to let this one go, and so that experience was a real turning point for me, because she also was very much of someone to say like, to me, you know, she believed in me, and Sally's got her own chip. Sally's got a lot of chips on her shoulder, and we're very similar in that way, and we bonded in that way of like, you know, two people who like, you know have chips on their shoulder about not being believed in. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't believe in me, and we really bonded over that. And so I would say like that experience of making Doris was like really like, I'm going to leave it all out there this time, and I'm not going to compromise and all that stuff. And it came out great. It really did. It
came out actually even better than I expected, because I remember sort of I saw it at South by Southwest, where it won the Audience Award, by the way. And I remember thinking it would be very funny, and she was this quirky character, but the dignity it treats her with caught me off guard. And I think she's so magnificent, and I assumed it got made because she was involved, but that actually wasn't the case.
No. We sent her the script like, hey, would you be in this movie? I didn't think for 1 second she would do it.
Really?
Never even crossed my mind.
Because it seems written for her
No.
in so many ways.
I mean, when we were writing the movie, we were thinking it would be so amazing if Sally Field played this part, just because she combines all the different things that this character needs, which is the vulnerability, the fierceness, the sexiness, the charm, all of these different things. But it's Sally Field. She would never do this. She's never done an independent movie. She's never done a small movie.
She hadn't.
So why would she do this? It never occurred to me.
Wow.
And I feel like I owe this current phase of my career to Sally Field. I really do.
I think she owes you a lot, though, because it's her best performance in like 30 years. And such a fascinating character, and you don't see characters like that out there. And I actually think she'd be one of the first people to say that. So.
And I got to see, talking about the bringing it back to the acting thing, I got to see someone give a performance. I got to see a great actor like over the course of a couple of months, like really truly give a performance that started from nothing, and then I watched her kind of build it up from nothing, and I got to be a part of that with her. I got to share in that experience with her, and that was so exhilarating for me.
And you also had the good sense to cast this actor Kumail Nanjiani in Hello, My Name Is Doris, who actually you're kind of responsible for the fact that he's even an actor now.
No, I'm not responsible for it, but you mean from Michael
Yes.
Issues, yeah. But Kumail and I have known each other for a long time. I've always, from this first moment I saw Kumail doing stand-up, I was a fan of his. And we've been friends all these years, and he moved out to LA long before I did, and then he was in Doris, and he saw Doris. And
he's in Doris.
He's in Doris, but I'm saying he saw a cut of it, and I think he felt like there was a tone. He's like, "Hey, I wrote a movie. Would you read my movie?" And I had never directed anything that I hadn't written.
Right.
And I was just like, I have to make this movie. I have to do it. And I know what you want. I know what you want this movie to be, and I know how to help you get it there.
But he didn't show it to you to ask you to direct it. He just wanted your opinion,
right? He says that he was hoping I would like it.
Really?
He didn't say that to me. when he gave it to me, he just said, "Read it. I want your feedback, like as a writer." And I mean, it needed a lot of work. It wasn't what the movie. It isn't what it was now. But the inspiration was all over it.
Yeah.
The kind of the uniqueness of it was everywhere, and so I jumped at that. Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, we're talking about The Big Sick, which not ironically, that's the wrong word, also won the Audience Award at South by Southwest this year,
yes.
which I don't think has ever happened to the same director.
True?
I don't think
know.
so.
I don't know.
But this is like one of the most critically acclaimed movies of the year. I don't have time to list all the accolades. Also hugely profitable. Yeah, I am shocked by how little you made it for, and it's gone on to be like one of the biggest grossing movies of the year. Yep. So, do you still have a chip on your shoulder?
Oh yes, 100%, absolutely.
That's good. It sounds like it's motivating.
I definitely do. Less so, maybe, but and I love truly. I mean, I love show business. I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but I love the industry. Yeah. And I love because it's so in a way I'm where I want to be, which is to say, like talking to you and our industry, like we feed each other. And so to be able to like be doing it and in a way like to have that chip on my shoulder, and to be able to just like ease into it for the last couple of years has been for me great.
Because we are here at SAG, I do want to mention I was so thrilled to see the SAG Ensemble nomination.
Were we.
I mean, I had a feeling, but there have been so many amazing ensembles this year that I was like a little worried. And when I saw that,
we didn't get we were. I mean, the Golden.
Don't even get me started on them.
But and it's this thing. It's like such a luxury. Insane luxury problem to have, but like they have a category just for comedy, and we didn't get any of those nominations. Like it seems crazy to me. Neither did Girls Trip.
That was the exact
which is like a comedy that made over $100 million, which is the most successful comedy of the year by far, and you can't nominate anything from that movie and The Big Sick, which were like the two big comedies of the year. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. You just sort of shake your head at those things, but then you go, but this is a luxury problem. What are we talking about?
And these are also people who gave best comedy to The Martian.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, exactly.
You have to
that laugh riot.
Yeah.
They say the laugh riot, the belly laugh. Yeah.
But the SAG being recognized by actors and for such a diverse ensemble, it's so wonderful. And Holly obviously being recognized, which was not a surprise. But I mean, did you? It's such a cliche question, but how did you get the news? Were you?
Kumail texted me.
You're kidding.
I was asleep. I actually had forgotten. I kind of had not given up, but I stopped thinking about that stuff. And I heard my phone buzz at like 6 a.m. and it was all caps, and it was Kumail, and it was just saying, "Mike, we got nominated for SAG Award." He was so happy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And then I was like, "How do you know? What are you talking about?" You know, I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" You know, like, you know, you're lying, you're fucking with me, you know, and then
it's payback because you've messed with him.
Yeah. Which is what I was like when someone told me Doug Jones had won, and I was like, fuck you, you're lying to me, that's not possible. Like, shut up, that's not possible. You're messing. I'll believe it when I see it. Like, I need a couple weeks before I'm willing to believe this.
No, I was actually there when you found out. We were in the green room.
No, I knew already.
Oh, you did know?
I already knew. Yeah,
okay.
I already knew.
So it was Holly who didn't know.
Oh, really?
That's right, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We told her.
Oh wow! No, I knew. I knew right before I left to come meet you guys. I had found out, and it was like I couldn't believe it.
Well, there still might be a recount, so hold up.
Oh, he hasn't conceded yet. What a guy! He's such a great guy. Such a classy guy.
So I am curious about sort of developing the script with Emily and Kumail, because this is obviously based on, you know, events that happen in their real life, though it's obviously not autobiographical as well. Was that like a challenging procedure, because they can always just say, well, like, this is how it really happened?
Right. Yes, but it was a great process. It was challenging in the best way, and to Kumail and Emily's credit, and I feel like I wanted to say this the other night.
We've done this before.
Not this.
No,
we've never done this
never.
before. But they were so open.
Yeah.
To collaboration. They were so not precious about anything, and having worked with writers on way less personal projects, on way less big, where the stakes were so much less, who are acting like it's Citizen Kane, and you're talking about silly whatever, to have Kumail and Emily be so, you know, like open to seeing it a different way, to trying, like, to learn. They were really open to learn. And to not, they were so, and it was really important to me in my vision of it that it not feel like a kind of a, you know, a journal entry of a movie where it was just sort of like, oh, it's this little movie that's like very much about them. I wanted it to feel like you knew it was about them, but that it's really about everybody. And that's why it's a good movie, because it's a universal story. It's their own story, but we made a choice that it doesn't say at the beginning of Big Sick based on a true story.
Right.
It doesn't say inspired by a true story. This really happened. None of that. You don't find out. I mean, we knew you'd find out if you read anything, because the word would get out. But that, like, if you watch the movie and you didn't know that, you don't find out until the very end, and the credits roll. You go, oh my God, like, that's a real thing. Yeah. Oh my God, like, that's a fun new revelation to have, because you don't need that. You don't need to know it's a true story for this story to resonate. And so they bought into that idea early on, that like that it was inspired by what had happened to them, but that we were going to tell a story that was like born out of that was something bigger than what had happened to them.
And Kumail is such a fantastic, I mean, he becomes a leading man, a romantic comedy leading man in this movie. And he gives you a lot of credit for that. And I understand he took it really, I mean, it sounds silly because he's playing
himself,
Kumail, but I think actors probably know that's one of the hardest things you can do.
Yeah.
And also, I understand he took like acting lessons.
Oh yeah, well, he's a very serious actor. He takes that very seriously. And so he was working with an acting coach on his part, very intensely.
Is there a part of you that is surprised by the huge response to the movie? Only because I know there was a concern at one time as to how to sell it, because one of your leads is in a coma for half the movie.
Yes. Well, by the time I would say that the biggest, those questions were more in prior to. So once we started screening the movie and saw the response that it was getting, even before Sundance, when we did a couple like big sort of like ArcLight screenings, and saw the response that the audience was giving the movie, was like, that was shocking to me.
Really?
That was really shocking to me, because I'd been through that process before of having movies do, you know, the big ArcLight stuff, and like everybody liked The Big Sick.
Yeah. Like
we would do these screenings, and it was like, you know, a very diverse audience of every age group and ethnicity and gender, and it was like they all liked the movie, and I just wasn't prepared for that. I just was like, really, you do? Like, you know, like, you're joking, right? You know, and no, they really loved the movie, and then that never stopped. Like, that just continued, you know? And so by the time we went to Sundance, we'd seen the movie enough times with a true audience to know, like, people really like this movie. And I can say for myself, I really like it too, but there's a sort of like, I don't know, there's a sort of like, there's a little bit of me that's just like, I don't know. It's lightning in a bottle. I'm proud of it. It's what we wanted to do, but the connection that people have to it is something that I don't need to understand.
Everyone does love it. My old roommate who hated the vegetables episode loves it. That should
tell you that says
something.
Everything. That tells it all.
There is one guy on Twitter who like tells me a lot that he doesn't like it, but
well, there's some. But you got, you know, Richard Brody from the. We know all the bad reviews. We could tell you.
Really?
I could tell you all the bad reviews.
Well, didn't Manola Dargis love it?
She loved. Well, she also loved Doris. So like that was the, like when I read the Manola Dargis review of Doris, was like, I'm like, I can die now. I'm done.
I'm sorry,
the
but
New York
that's the one
Times
that
gave me a
matters.
good review. New York Times, I'm done.
Not just New York Times,
Manola
Dargis.
Manola. Yeah. And she got it. Yeah. She got it. It wasn't just that it was a good review, it was she got it. She got it. And she really wrote about it. She thought about it. It was the best.
I should get to audience questions. I'm sorry, guys. But before we do, I want to talk about Search Party, because once again, you have not only a great movie in the theater, but a great show on TV. Just finished the second season?
Second season is the last 2 episodes there this Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
we're
back to
almost
back.
Done. Yep.
How did you come to be involved with that? Because it's not your normal collaborators.
So they were students of mine at NYU.
That's what I thought.
And,
wow.
And they moved out to Los Angeles, Sarah, Violet, and Charles, who also made a movie that won an audience award at South by Southwest, called Fort Tilden, which is a wonderful, brilliantly funny movie. They moved out to Los Angeles, and I hired them as writers on the first season of Wet Hot on Netflix. And they were so great and such good writers, and we said, let's think of something we could do together, and so we started brainstorming, and we came up with the idea for Search Party.
Where did that idea sort of come from?
It came from their sensibility, which was a sort of ensemble, hipster, millennial thing. And then an idea that I had with Lily Burns, who's one of the other producers, was sort of coming out of like Serial and sort of a fascination with like sociopaths and crime, and like, you know, Lance Armstrong, and like weird sort of crime thing, to what if we could blend those two things together and create a kind of like David Lynch Twin Peaks meets Girls thing. And that's Search Party.
And again, another amazing ensemble.
Incredible.
Yeah, Aaliyah Shawkat and John Early. Like, but again, not. I mean, you've worked with these people before, but it's kind of like a new group. Was there anyone you brought in from the outside that in the casting process?
Meredith Hagner and John Reynolds both auditioned.
Really?
Got cast through auditions.
Oh, that's so cool.
And but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, a lot of those younger people are people that I'm like just finding out about myself now. But it's like, you know, that show is one of the things I'm most proud of that I've ever done. Yeah.
Are you writing the 3rd season right now, or?
Oh wait, no, we haven't started 3rd season yet. We actually don't know if we have.
I was just going to ask. I mean, I just assumed it was a given.
We're hoping. We're feeling cautiously optimistic.
I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anyone's name. I believe it's Deborah Campbell. Oh, cool. Had a question. What was the inspiration for my name? Hello, my name is Doris.
So the person I wrote that movie with is Laura Theroux, who made a short film called Doris and the Intern. She was not a student of mine at NYU, but she went to NYU. And I saw her short film, and it's an 8-minute long short film about a character, sort of like the Doris that's in the movie, who gets a crush on an intern, a 19-year-old intern. And it was very funny, but what really I loved about it was that this character was a comedic protagonist that I felt like I'd seen before, but I had actually never seen before, but who had all of the like things that a great comic protagonist can do, which is that she's like misbehaves like crazy. You know, she's so transgressive. And I thought this would be so great to like, you know, she gets to do what all the great main comedic, they get to do and say things that we all wish we could do, like steal a pencil out of the, you know, and so we started talking about working on something together just because I thought she was so talented, Laura. And then after talking about 100 million ideas, we said, hey, what if we tried making Doris taking that nugget and expanding it into a whole story?
Wow. We have a question from a fan of the Baxter, Wendy. For Michael the Baxter. Music plays a huge role in your films. How do you find the songs you pick, specifically Beautiful Child in the Baxter?
Oh, man. I mean, that was just like my favorite record at that time. It's this great Rufus Wainwright song, Beautiful Child. And so like when I'm writing and then when I'm editing too, a lot of times I just play my favorite songs and they inspire me. And so like, then sometimes you like go, can we try to get that one? And then sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. And in that case, we got it. And I've like I've like met Rufus Wainwright a few times. I'm like, hey, I just want to tell you, like, we have your song Beautiful Child in my movie The Baxter, and I'm expecting to be like, oh my God, that's you. And he's like, cool. He clearly has never seen it. He has no idea what I'm talking about. Like, he probably just got a paycheck and someone was like, some random movie paid us a lot of money to use your song.
He looks it up. He thinks it's a movie about the dog.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly.
Question from Scott, smiley face. Oh, right in front. Please share a fun or funny experience on set, and what do you do for fun when you're not working?
What I do for fun, I have children. I love spending time with my children.
You have twins, don't you?
Twins.
It's crazy.
Twin daughters. Yep. And I like playing tennis. I like watching the Rachel Maddow show. I like doing Sudoku puzzles. I like eating. I like watching movies. I like going on hikes. I like going out of town, relaxing, Santa Barbara, or I love going to New York. I love going to see the theater. This weekend, my wife and I are seeing Spamilton,
which is actually really good.
I can't wait.
I don't usually like parody shows, but
I can't wait.
Are you based in New York?
No, LA.
Oh, I thought
we
you were
live
based
in LA.
in New York.
No,
okay.
we moved out here 4 years ago. Yeah. And then what was the other question? Something fun on set?
Something funny that happened on set. I just think working with Ray Romano, I'd be laughing.
Oh
all the
God!
time.
Oh my God! Oh my God! What I say about that is like everyone really does love Raymond.
It's true. I keep saying it and catching myself.
And it's like immediate. You're like, I love that guy. Like you, and that's the word that comes out. You're like, I love Raymond.
No,
like you meet him and like within 5 minutes you're like, I love Raymond. He's so nice and genuine and has such a big heart and is so truly funny. Mm-hmm. But you know, everything I've done has been so like, we've had so much of a thing of like budget time that there is no time for silliness. So it's like a really intense work environment. It's like the fun is just doing it, and you make each other laugh and stuff. But like, you know, you're just like, we got a lot of pages to shoot, not a lot of time, not a lot of money, and so I'm pretty I'm pretty serious when I'm on set. And I like to have fun just goofing around, but it's not like George Clooney like taking a shit and pretending it's the cat. Like, you know that story? That? Like, I love this story so much. That he was like house sitting for his friend, and the friend was like, just your main job, all you have to do to pay me to house sit for me is feed my cat and clean the litter box.
Yeah.
And so George Clooney like kept saying to his friend, like, he's like, how's the cat doing? He's like, he's great, but like, I don't think he's gone to the bathroom once since I've been house sitting for you. But he had been. The cat was going to the bathroom normal. Right. And then on the day that his friend came back, George Clooney himself took a shit in the litter box and was like, your cat had constipation, but then like it's an amazing story.
He's so lucky.
And the friend was like, "What?" Yeah, I don't have any stories. Well, except the Kumail Jesse story, which is which we're not going to do.
Okay.
The one prank that I did play went horribly awry. Which is that when we were doing Michael Have Issues, this show that I did on Comedy Central with Michael Black that also ran one season, although the reviews were pretty good for that one. Yes, the reviews actually were good for that one. So we had two writers on that show. One writer was Kumail. The other writer was Jesse Klein, who then became the head writer on the Amy Schumer show. They were our only two writers, and we wanted them to play themselves in our show, because our show was a show within the show, which was me and Michael Black playing ourselves, making a TV show. And we wanted them to play themselves in our TV show. But they both were made to audition a ton. Like a ridiculous amount. Kumail has these funny stories of like going and sitting in a room with like other people that looked like him.
Yes.
To play a character named Kumail Nanjiani that he had written. And that he had multiple callbacks for this. And we had to ultimately like go to bat for him at Comedy Central to get him to get the part. Oh yeah, this is totally true. It's totally true. And like now they would like, you know, do anything he wanted, and he, you know, they made him audition 5 times. So and finally we were just like, guys, we really want you to cast Kumail. Like we're not willing to cast the other person you're telling us you want. It wasn't even like he eventually proved to them that he was best. It was we just wore them down. So, but we were like all very close, and we were like so happy when we finally got the phone call from the Comedy Central executive saying, yes, you can cast them both to play themselves in your TV show. So, and they shared an office where they shared an office, Mike and I shared an office, and Mike and I sent emails to each one of them, and the email said, hey, Kumail, hey, Jesse. So we just talked to the Comedy Central executive, and it's good news, bad news. The good news is you got the part. The bad news is Kumail didn't, or in Kumail's case, Jesse didn't.
Isn't that terrible?
And they sharing an office.
This is so much worse than George Clooney.
Oh my God. And we were like, this is so funny, this is so great. Like, and then it was like, they don't know. They don't know. Like, they don't know anything. So, And then
this audience just turned on you.
Yo, I know. And like all day long, they're coming into our office being like, this is excruciating. Like, she's in a good mood, and she has no idea that like she didn't get the part. And like, what am I supposed to say? And we're like, I know, it's horrible. It's horrible. And then she'd come in and she'd be like, you guys, he's like in a good mood. I don't know what to say because they're both happy.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember how it played out, but then like Kumail like thought it was funny, and Jesse Klein like wouldn't talk to us for a week after. She was so angry at us. So my one like take a shit in the cat's litter box backfired.
Yeah, she was really mad.
Oh yeah. We still can't talk about it with her. Like she'll get really angry at us. Yeah.
Oh, was that the last time you tried pulling a prank, or?
I think so, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Well, Kumail obviously forgave you. You guys worked
yes,
together again
yes.
to great success.
Yeah.
And just before I go, I'm so sorry we're out of time, but can you tell us what you're working on next?
Trying to think if there's anything I care to actually talk about, because there's all these different things, and I don't like to jinx. Nothing that I think I can actually talk about other than to say that I'm hoping sooner than later to be back in production on something.
Oh, great.
And a bunch of projects that I'm excited about, and definitely hoping to do another season of Search Party. Yeah.
And I just want to remind everyone, because you probably already paid to see it, but The Big Sick is available for free on Amazon Prime now. Everyone's really excited. Free is awesome. Again, I cannot thank you enough for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations
Thank you so much.
on a great year.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.